Unlike my usual videos where I might do some tutorials or challenges or whatever, in this video I think I'll be discussing a topic. So I guess before this video starts, I have to mention that what you're watching right now is the best of 100 match I did with Jackie Zhang. He holds the world record for square one, and he is also a very good friend of mine. So yeah, we streamed this live on my YouTube and Twitch if you want to check them out. And yeah, that's what you're seeing on video right now. So if you want to see the rest of this match, you could watch the VOD from my YouTube and my Twitch. And I guess if you want to know the result, spoiler alert, I won. So yeah, there's that. But yeah, that's that. And let's go back to this topic discussion. And that topic is Rubik's involvement in speedcubing. So recently, Rubik's have done quite a bit to the community. So I thought it would be worth discussing in this video. So Rubik's is definitely really infamous in the cubing community for the lawsuit with the cubicle. That happened quite a few years ago because I think first Rubik's sued the cubicle because of them selling cubes that look like Rubik's cubes but aren't really under the Rubik's brand. So there's a lot of controversy over that, and then the cubicle sued back, and I think everything should be cleared by now. But recently, Rubik's has been making more moves for speedcubing. For example, they sponsored several competitions. I know they sponsored US Nats last year, they sponsored Worlds last year. They sponsored lots of other comps too, such as NA Champs this year. But because it got cancelled, Rubik's was the one I think that covered all the costs for the refund, which is pretty cool. Rubik's is also sponsoring Cubing at Home, which is an online competition. That one's quite interesting. I think it's the first online competition with like a huge sponsor, which is huge. And they're offering a $5,000 prize pool, which is actually pretty big for an online comp. But I think Rubik's sponsoring a lot of competitions is pretty normal. That has been happening for a little bit already. But the huge news is recently, the Rubik's has started to sponsor speedcubers. So Rubik's now has their own ambassadors. So they include Jack Kai, Sebastian, and Philip Vire, Kean Ellis, Max Park, Patrick Ponce, George Sholey, and Bill Wang. So lots of big name cubers right there. As for the terms of the agreement, I am not sure really what they are. I'm pretty sure they're still allowed to use other cubes. If you look at videos from these speedcubers, they are using other cubes. However, what I have realized is that all of these cubers seem to have stopped being sponsored by a cube manufacturer. So I think a lot of them were sponsored by GAN before. Some were sponsored by Qi, some were sponsored by Moyu. But at this point, none of them have like Qi, Moyu, or GAN in their description. So I'm assuming they're not sponsored by the cube manufacturers anymore, and they are now ambassadors for Rubik's. As for cube companies, I think they are still all sponsored by cube companies. So I think they're all sponsored by the Cubeco, except for George, who might be sponsored by SCS still. I'm not quite sure about that one. So yeah, it seems like they are not going to be limited by their hardware, which is a super good plus. And they get to represent Rubik's, which I'm assuming is going to get them pretty big contracts for this year, which is also very good. Now, what are my thoughts on this? I think this is a huge step by Rubik's to start sponsoring speedcubers. Sponsoring competitions is one thing, but having personal speedcubers be ambassadors is definitely a huge thing. Because all of them seem to have stopped their sponsorships at the start of 2020. I'm assuming that Rubik's has had plans for this at the beginning of this year. I'm not quite sure about that, but it seems like Rubik's is starting to make some bigger moves. So again, these are all huge big name cubers. They're all super fast, so I think this is actually pretty good for the community. We're going to have some pretty fast cubers be ambassadors for Rubik's. I think Rubik's focus is not really to be a cube manufacturer. Obviously, they do have their own cubes, and they were partnered with GAN at one point, but I think that has stopped. I think the whole point of this Rubik's Ambassador program is not to promote Rubik's Speed Cube, because obviously these guys are probably not going to be using their Speed Cubes, and they're probably going to be using some other hardware. But the whole point of this program, I think, is to promote speedcubing in general. This is actually well stated in one of the interviews done with the Rubik's CEO, and in that interview, I think the CEO of Rubik's mentioned that he really enjoyed speedcubing in general, and he really wanted to promote it to a wider audience. So that's one thing that Rubik's can do that cube manufacturers can't really do, because Rubik's, they have the name, they have the brand. So I think it's great that Rubik's is using their big brand and the money that they have to promote speedcubing even more. I think this is a very positive business move. I think it's great for the speedcubing community, and I think it's also great for Rubik's by themselves. Even though Rubik's did have a bad past with this community, I think it's time we accepted them. They're doing a lot of great stuff for the community. They're putting a lot of money into it, which I think is really, really important. Like such as the Red Bull competitions, those things have been huge. Even those were controversial at first, but I think those are also another great form of competitions that we can have. But yeah, Rubik's is actually bringing speedcubing to a wider audience, and I think that's very beneficial for this community. So what are your thoughts about them sponsoring these speedcubers and sponsoring all these competitions? I think that's great, but there might be some other opinions from the comments, which I would love to read. But yeah, that's about it for this video. Thanks for watching, and enjoy the rest of these solves.